I'd like to call the order the September 20th, 2021 Development Review Commission meeting. The first order of our business will be the call to order. Kat, could you take the roll?
Shear?
Yes.
Arthur?
Here.
Smith?
Yes.
Silent?
Here.
Berardi?
Here.
Poinsett?
Here.
And Mr. Frankel is absent.
Okay, thank you. We have one change to the agenda tonight. We're not going to deal with the minutes. We're going to move right into the findings. So the findings are for LU 210036, a request for a development review permit and design variances for a new mixed-use residential, commercial, and hotel development in the North Anchor site. Excuse me. This site is located at 500 First Street, 525 First Street, 33-41B Avenue, and 504 North State Street. The tax IDs are 21E03DD00500, 21E03DD00400, 21E03DD00300, and 21E03DD01200. The staff coordinator on this project was Eric Olson, senior planner. Have we all had a chance to review the findings? Are there any changes, additions, deletions? Randy.
Chair, I would move to approve the findings, conclusions, and order on this matter, LU 2100362012, as submitted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Kat, could you take the roll?
Shear?
Yes.
Arthur?
Yes.
Smith?
No.
Silent?
Yes.
Berardi?
Abstain.
Poinsett?
Yes.
The findings pass. Okay, so now we move on to our public hearing. Our public hearing is on LU 210024, a request for a major variance to reduce an 18-foot yard setback to 7 feet in order to construct a two-car garage. This site is located at 550 Middlecrest Road, tax ID number 21E10AC06200. The staff coordinator tonight is Joanna Hasty, senior planner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll review the proceedings for tonight.
Thank you, Evan.
This land use request is considered based on the applicable criteria and standards. The staff report lists the criteria that staff identified as applicable to the request. It was available online. Testimony and evidence must be directed towards the applicable criteria. Please specifically identify to the Commission the criteria or standards you're addressing so the Commission may reconsider your testimony in relation to the criteria or standards that you're addressing. If you do not identify the criteria or standards, the Commission is not obliged to guess which standards or criteria you're testifying about and may not consider your testimony in its decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the Commission and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes raising the issue on appeal to the City Council and the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. The failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval with specificity to allow the Commission to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. The hearing process will be as follows. First, a presentation by staff, then testimony by the applicant, up to 20 minutes. Then testimony by parties in support of the application, followed by testimony by parties opposed to the application, and finally testimony by those neither for nor against the application. Individuals will be allowed up to 5 minutes. Any person in attendance may cede his or her time for testimony to another person except to the applicant, but in no case shall any person's testimony be increased to greater than 10 minutes. Recognized neighborhood associations, homeowner associations, government or government agencies, or other incorporated public interest organizations will be allowed up to 10 minutes. Following that would be the applicant's rebuttal up to 5 minutes, and then commission deliberation, including a statement to the applicant by the commission of any proposed conditions of approval different than contained in the staff report, and the applicant's response to the commission's conditions of approval proposed following commission deliberation. But those time limits do not include time spent responding to questions from the commission. Testimony by attorneys, representatives, and witnesses on behalf of or which are part of the presentation by a person shall be counted within that person's time limit. It is assumed that persons are testifying on their own behalf unless they expressly identify the recognized neighborhood association, homeowner association, government or government agency, or other incorporated public interest organization they are representing. A potential conflict of interest is declared on behalf of each of the DRC members to the extent of their business or employment, which each will identify. Unless declared otherwise, the respective DRC member does not have a known present or anticipated future business relationship with the project or the applicant. It is possible that a future business relationship could arise in the initiation, design, construction, or maintenance of the project through either the employment or business of the DRC member personally or through a relative as defined in ORS 244-020. At this point, I would ask the commission members to please declare if you've had any ex parte contacts, including a site visit, if you're biased on the application, your financial conflicts of interest, if you need to declare, and please state your business or employment. Commissioner Berardi.
Hi, my name is Craig Berardi, financial consultant. I have not visited the site. I have no ex parte contacts, no bias, and no conflicts of interest.
Bruce Poinsett. I have not visited the site. I have no interest in the site. My business is I'm a safety consultant, but I have nothing to do with this type of project.
All right, and you've received no ex parte contacts?
None.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Randy Arthur. I'm a civil litigation attorney with the Portland office of Bullivan Hauser Bailey. I have had no ex parte contacts. I live not far from this site and I have been by it over the years, but have not made an ex parte visit in connection with this application. I have no financial interest and no disqualifying bias on the application.
My name is Jeff Shearer. I'm a retired contractor. I have had no ex parte contact. I have not done a site visit. I have no bias and no financial encumbrances.
My name is Kirk Smith. I'm a real estate and land use attorney with the Portland office of Buckhalter. I ran a conflicts check based on the information that was provided to me by staff, and based on that analysis, determined that I have no conflicts of interest. I've not visited the site, have no ex parte contacts, no bias, and no additional financial conflicts of interest.
My name is Mark Silent. I'm a local business owner. I have no ex parte contacts. I did not make a site visit, and I have no financial conflicts or bias.
Thank you. Is there a challenge to any commissioner's right to consider the application? Hearing none, Senior Planner Johanna Hasty with the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Good evening, DRC and members of the public. My name is Johanna Hasty. I'm a senior planner with the City of Lake Oswego Planning and Building Department. I am here tonight to present LU 21-0024. I have 4 exhibits to add to the record. 3 of those are comments in support of the application. That's G101 through G103. Those have been posted to the website and also forwarded to the DRC for your consideration. The property owner also submitted some photos of the existing carport and trees, and that's exhibit E13, and that's also been posted and forwarded to you. Kat, is this supposed to buzz? We don't. It's buzzing, just FYI. Okay. As the chair described, this is a major variance request to reduce an 18-foot front yard setback to 7 feet in order to construct a 2-car garage. The site is located in the Lakewood Neighborhood Association. It's zoned R7.5 and is developed with a single-family home. It has frontage on Middle Crest Road, which is a local street. All of the development standards are met as described in the city's or in this staff report. All of the R7.5 zone dimensional standards are met with the exception of the front yard setback as follows. Lot coverage is based on the height of the dwelling. Maximum allowed is 30%, and what's proposed is about 26.6%. Maximum floor area based on the lot size is 4,388.5 square feet, and what's proposed is approximately 2,867 square feet. The front yard setback on this property is 18 feet rather than 25 feet, and that's because it's a steeply sloped lot. What's proposed is an 11-foot reduction to that 18-foot front yard setback to 7 feet, as shown here on this slide. I'm only going to focus on the major variance criteria tonight, but I'm happy to answer questions about the other development standards. The major variance criteria, there are 3 of them. The first criterion establishes whether or not there is a hardship that prevents reasonable use of the property, and then determines if the hardship is unnecessary or not, and I'll unpack that in a moment. So a 2-car garage is a long-established, reasonable expectation for a low-density residentially zoned property that's developed with a detached single-family home. This site, as existing, only has a single carport that's in deteriorating condition. So similar to other low-density residential properties, the applicant should be allowed a 2-car garage. Looking at the site, due to some physical circumstances like the location and alignment of the existing dwelling, the slope on the lot, and the presence of a number of mature trees in the side yards and front yard, the applicant is unable to site a 2-car garage in a way that complies with that front yard setback. Because these physical circumstances create an unnecessary hardship, reasonable use is prevented. As this is also not a self-created hardship, granting the variance would alleviate it, this first criterion is met. There is an unnecessary hardship that needs to be alleviated. The second criterion, the applicant must show that the request is not injurious to the neighborhood. This proposal fits in with the general development pattern of the nearby properties, again, as shown on this slide here. Having a prominent 2-car garage located at or near or in the front yard setback is also similar in location and appearance to the existing carport. So as you can see from this photo, this is the existing carport. And the garage, as you can see in this, is very similar in size and location. The proposed location of the 2-car garage doesn't require any extensive grading for the driveway or for the garage itself. The slab will stay the same. There's also a condition of approval to incorporate all of the very specific tree protection measures outlined in the arborist report to make sure that the 2 large Doug firs near the new garage slab will be retained. 4 comments were received in support of this application, none in opposition. So staff did find that granting the variance will not cause injury to the neighborhood. This criterion is also met. The third and final criterion is that the request must be the minimum necessary to make reasonable use of the property. So again, reasonable use for a single-family detached zone in a low-density residential zone, detached dwelling in a low-density residential zone is a 2-car garage. Typical dimensions of a 2-car garage range from 20 to 25 feet in width and depth. What's proposed here is a 22 by 22 foot width and depth garage. So that's standard. The garage is then aligned, so at its closest point, it's only 7 feet from the front yard setback, and then angles back away from the front property line to an approximate 12-foot setback. This garage also, This garage also complies with the side yard setbacks, is less than or about 10 feet in height, and again replicates the location of the existing carport. So staff did find that the variance to the front yard setback, at its maximum an 11-foot reduction, is the minimum necessary to make reasonable use or to construct the 2-car garage. So this criterion is met. Staff is recommending approval of the major variance as outlined and conditioned in the staff report. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
Are there any questions for staff from the commission? Randy?
Senior planner, could you just remind me, what is the city requirement? Sorry, I had my mic off. Thank you, Chair. Could you remind me what the city requirement is for off-street parking for a single-family residential dwelling in Lake Oswego?
So the minimum necessary that would be required with a building permit is 1 off-street parking space located outside of required yard setbacks. But
Thank
again, the longstanding practice is that a two-car garage or a carport is a established kind of reasonable use of a single-family detached dwelling.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Kirk?
Good evening, John. I looked at this, in the staff report on page 4, there's a statement that the proposal to remove the carport and construct a 2-car garage addition in its place increases the degree of nonconformance. And I was curious how putting this garage increases the nonconformance.
So we've had a longstanding practice of considering carports and garages pretty much the same, and that means that a carport, even though it's not enclosed, would count towards floor area. It has to meet like locational standards, so it can't be in front of the home, similar to, well, it has to comply with all the garage and appearance and location standards if they apply to that particular property. But a carport is open. It has open walls and therefore has less presence, if you will. And so if they had applied to simply enclose this existing carport by putting up walls, that increases its presence on the street and therefore increases the degree of its nonconforming status, meaning you've gone from an open carport located in a front yard setback to an enclosed garage. So by taking down the carport and basically building the 2-car garage in its place, it's a bit of a stretch, but basically you're increasing the degree of nonconformance. This particular garage is actually also larger than the existing single car carport, so in that respect as well. There's more of a garage / carport in the front yard setback.
But by getting the variance, that's the remedy to the fact that if you didn't get the variance, it would be increasing the degree of nonconformity. But if you get approval of a variance, that is considered to be their going forward conforming.
Correct. So to build on that, they could not have just applied for a building permit to enclose the existing carport. Similarly, they couldn't tear down the carport and rebuild this garage. Both paths would have required a major variance.
I was looking at the existing condition, and the way I was reading the chart, that the existing dwelling with carport was approximately 5 feet in the front setback, whereas with the garage completed, it was 7 feet. So I was thinking by pulling it back.
You're making it more conforming.
Right, so it's less non-conforming, if that's a concept, so.
No, that absolutely is a concept, and that's a very good point. Like I said, they're going from an open carport to an enclosed garage, and it's a bigger structure in the front yard setback. So there are multiple ways that the carport itself is non-conforming. But the only standard that this proposed garage does not comply with is the front yard setback. Otherwise, it fully complies with the development standards, with the zone dimensional standards, and with the structure design standards.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. Before Mark goes, just as long as you were talking about the setback, how far is, let me see, we're going 7 foot, we're going to reduce the front yard setback to 7 feet. What is it now? Does it comply with the 15-foot setback?
The 18-foot setback, no. It's the carport itself. I'm sorry, I don't have the existing conditions.
Yeah, I couldn't find
No, that's actually Exhibit E1.
Okay.
I don't have the ability to pull that up. But if you have the public record of file, sorry, I guess we're all in a learning process with this. If you have the public, E2, I'm sorry, E1 is the tax map. If you look at the carport, it does show that it is located in the front yard setback 5 feet from the front property line. I think it is also projecting into the side yard setback as well.
So what you're saying is, tagging on what Kirk said, it's going to be less non-conforming if we say yes.
For that particular standard?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's 5 feet now from the street.
Yes, it
or
is-
from the
it is
setback,
getting-
it'll be 7.
Yes.
We're gaining 2 feet. That's what I was unclear on.
Yes.
Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Oh, no, thank you. Was there any consideration given to just demolishing the existing structure and placing the new garage elsewhere on the lot and getting out of this issue of 18 feet?
Yes, so the applicant, if you look on the record, it's exhibit, sorry. E12, exhibit E12, shows an alternate location for one parking space that does comply with the setbacks, and it is basically, does that work? Yeah. So basically, if you're looking at that record, the garage, a single-car garage would fit right here. That garage in that location, while it complied with the front and side yard setback, would require the removal of at least 2 Doug firs and extensive grading, and it would also only be a one-car garage. So again, reasonable use for a detached single-family home in a low-density residential zone is 2 cars.
It can't be behind.
There would be no way because of the alignment and location and width of the home and the
That's
grading.
perfect, thank you.
No.
Okay, any other questions? All right, let's hear from the applicant.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Hi.
Hello, I'm Melissa Schultz with Schultz Design, and I'm here representing Lisa and Paul Winsper. And I was hired to take a look at their existing site, which is, as we said, a complex site and is at a steep slope as well. So the backyard you were mentioning is quite a bit higher. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I think it's like 40 feet, and then we come all the way down in the front. So to get back behind the house, there's really not that much room. So I was hired to take a look and figure out how we could deal with the trees and this dilapidating carport, as well as on top, there's a deck. And they just purchased this home, I would say, I wanted to tell you, in December. So they moved in with a one-car carport and quickly realized that the deck above the carport was extremely rotted out, very soft. I think you have pictures that Johanna also uploaded to you guys showing the dry rot, and when you walk on there, you're like, I shouldn't be up here. Or I should go on a really good diet because I'm gonna fall through here. So when you also look at the slab below that, that is also cracking towards the side setbacks because it really wasn't shored up very well in the 1960s when it was built. So the owner said, you know, we'd really like to have room for 2 cars. An enclosed garage would be great. Since then, they have been living there and they've actually had to go down to 1 car due to the big trees, the mature trees that are there. They are sapping all over both the top of the carport as well as their cars. So they have gone down to 1 car. But we also, in looking at this site, there's 3 mature trees on what would be the north side of the lot. And then what we're talking about, putting the new covered garage, would be on the south side, and there's 2 mature trees there. I think you have pictures also of how close those trees are. Let me see what I have in here. You can see in this picture, can't see that very well though, can we? Right by the existing carport, there's 2 big trees. It's not a great picture. Oh, I can't go back. Oh, wait a second. Okay. There's 2 existing trees there right now, and we are within inches of those trees with the existing carport slab. So we're gonna have to take a lot of care to maneuver around those. But what we decided to do was pull that garage, the proposed garage, closer to the house to get it away from the street and try to conform and try to keep those trees as well. That's the front elevation of the house currently, and you can see how the Upstairs is the main living area. You come in on the ground floor and then you go upstairs. That opens up onto that carport, and that is also their outdoor deck. And this slide is showing you, somebody had mentioned how many cars, how many parking spots on the road that you have to have. This particular road, if you've ever been on it, is extremely narrow, and there is not a lot of street parking. In fact, when I took these pictures back in December, you can see spot 1 on my slide actually had some street parking, and that has since been, they've put those boulders in image 2, you can see it there. They've put boulders there and 2 boat trailers so that people won't park there. So there's really nowhere along that street near their house where you can actually park. And then in this study, we also looked at, okay, what are the other garages doing in the neighborhood? And what this slide represents is that the houses on the other side of the street all are non-conforming in terms of how close they are to the street as well, and they don't meet setbacks. But you have, 6 houses there. The other one that's even on the corner that I don't have a number on, isn't on their street. So the 6 houses across from them all have garages that are within the setback as well. And this, I got really close to these so that you guys could see. This is house number A, and you can see from the lines on the map that this garage is on the property line, which there's some discrepancy between what the property line is and the actual street, because there is that no man's land. So it's a little hard to look at these pictures and know exactly where that line is. But you can see house B that I'm going to go to next is also extremely close. House 3, that's probably got the most of any of the houses, which I would say that isn't even 25 feet from the property line back to the garage either. And then D. And then E, that looks like the house is on the property line. I don't think that that's probably true, but it does look awfully close. And then there is F. And then I wanted to show also the trees. In these images, you can see that in image D, I'm just kind of working from my left side to my right, in image D, that tree is really sapping. And so it's just coming down on everything that may park under it. So the necessity to have 2 cars that are covered is really, really important. And it's also extremely close to the existing slab. So we're trying to get the impervious concrete blacktop, we're going to use concrete in this case, but it is currently blacktop, get it away from those trees and take every precaution to save those trees. And you can see their extra car that is parked out from under the carport now in these photos as well. This was the alternative design to meet the setback. Somebody asked about that, and you can see what you can't see in a flat picture like this is that the slope is quite steep on that side. That would be the north side, but it would really be kind of this awkward garage that we really just kind of shoehorned in there, and it would still give them this 1-car garage, and it would really be awkward to try to get a car up that high into that space, and we would have to do quite a bit of grading. And there's also 2 dug fir trees, mature trees, that we'd have to navigate, and there's no way we could keep those to be able to do that. This one just shows the proposed garage with all of the trees on the site, and especially the 2 trees that are so close to the existing carport, and how we are taking every effort to move it closer to the house, following the lines of the house so that we mimic that in terms of design and getting it away from those trees. And then lastly, our pretty picture that kind of gives you a look of how we're upgrading the look and exterior of the garage and eventually the house. There's another view of it. We will also be enclosing the front door to give it a little bit better street presence as well, because right now it really does look like a box was set down and there's really no sequence of entry. So this will give you a little bit more of a sequence of entry. And if you want me to go back to, oops, I can't go back. Okay, sorry. Wait, I can't go back. So if you can see in picture B, right behind the top of that deck is the entry. You really can't see where the front of that house is until you get right up there. Let me see if I have another better picture for you. So right there, that door that is underneath the deck that's colored kind of an orange color, that's the entry. That's it. And then I was given a couple neighbors' feedback. Am I allowed to read those? Okay. From one of their neighbors, they sent this out to all their neighbors, had them look at it. It says, "We are thrilled with the plans and cannot wait to see the project kicked off. We especially like the thoughtful approach to maintaining and understanding elegance that fits with the neighborhood." Michael Bertrand and Elaine Kroll, they're at 570 Middlecrest. And this one, "Dear Sir, my name is Rick Pedley, and I live at 547 Middlecrest Road, directly across the street from the Winspers' proposed new garage and roof deck. My wife and I both support this project. Richard Pedley, architect." Can I answer any questions?
Craig?
I don't know if you could answer this, and Joanne may need to speak as well, but on the drainage side, so we had an open garage port where water may have come through. Is there any drainage system that's going to be needed to divert water around the garage? Is that?
We are going to be continuing to work with the city and the stormwater management to make sure all of that stormwater is being taken where appropriately it needs to. We're only adding a little bit, and we're not adding much impervious at all. So it's almost a wash to where it is now, but yes, to your point, I think anytime you endeavor to do a project like this, you always have to worry about where are we taking the water and where's the stormwater going. And we have had a test of the stormwater, and we will continue to work with the city to make sure that that stormwater goes where it needs to go.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Enough.
Okay.
Anybody else? I have one question.
Yes.
Could you go back to the slide where you show your elevation?
The elevation of the
Yeah,
existing house?
The other way.
This one?
This is your proposed, how it's going to look at the end, when you're finished?
Yes.
Should there be some fir trees there?
Well, those are taken out for design concept purposes only, because really the purpose of this was design concept of the garage, not
I
of
get it, I
the.
just wanted to make sure that was,
Yes, we're keeping those trees.
you weren't sneaking something past.
No. You wouldn't let me, Jeff.
Okay. Okay, that's my only question.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kat, has anybody signed up to testify? In that case, is there anyone here that wants to testify? No. So I guess we don't need rebuttal. Evan?
No, we don't need rebuttal.
Okay.
Prior to closing the public hearing, a person may request an opportunity to present additional evidence. If a request is made, the public hearing would be either continued to date certain, not less than 7 days later, or the record would remain open for at least 7 days to enable additional written evidence or testimony to be submitted. Is there such a request to present additional evidence? Seeing none, Unless waived by the applicant, the commission would allow the applicant 7 days after the record is closed, all other parties to submit final written argument in support of the application. That would be considered part of the record, but would not include any new evidence. Does the applicant wish to submit final written argument, which would delay deliberation? Nope, shaking head no. You may proceed with deliberation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Evan. Anybody have any comments? Craig?
Yeah, I support the project. I'm familiar with the neighborhood. It's, right, a lot of the garages are up against the street there, close to it. It's, a project that they've put a lot of thought in to make sure the neighbors are satisfied with. So yeah, support it.
Thank you. Bruce? Okay. Randy?
Thank you. I think it's a thoughtfully designed, well-planned proposal, and from the information in the materials, I think it'll be an improvement and a welcome addition to the streetscape, so I'm in support of the application.
Mark?
I would move to approve the application as presented in the staff report.
Second.
Okay. Kat, could you poll the commission?
Shear,
Yes.
Arthur,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Silent,
Yes.
Barty,
Yes.
Poinsett.
Yes.
Okay, looks like it's passed. Evan?
Yes, that's a tentative decision by the commission. Written findings we brought back to the commission on October the 4th, Monday, 7 o'clock.
Commissioners, we do not have any other items that night other than the adoption of the approval of minutes. So if you are so inclined, we could meet earlier and at 6 p.m. as we have done in the past, if you prefer.
Does that work for everybody? Kirk, does that work for you?
What's the date again? I'm sorry.
October 4th.
That should work.
Okay.
And
Sure,
if
let's
any-
do that.
If anyone needs to call in, please let Kat know. You are able to call in if we are just adopting findings.
Okay. Do we have any management update?
Just a rundown of the upcoming meetings. We will have one item on October 18th, so we will meet at 7 p.m. as per usual. We also have another item on November 1st. And so those are the two upcoming meetings after October 4th. I don't have any forecast or anything scheduled after that. I'll keep you up to date. But it looks like we will meet through October and at least the 1st of November at this point.
Have you talked with Jason?
I have contacted him and waiting for a response, yes, as to whether he's going to continue on the DRC. So I can talk to you offline about that, but at this point, I'm just waiting to hear back from him with confirmation on that.
Okay, very good. Anything else? We're adjourned. Thank you all.